The first convention I will be discussing of the slasher horror genre is the use of Dutch angles.
Here are some examples with the use of Dutch angles.
Dutch angles are used to make the audience feel uncomfortable and uneasy, as if something bad is going to happen next. It also really creates tension for the audience, making them fearful of what is going to happen next. The second convention I will be discussing is the character of the Scream Queen. After looking at the examples Halloween, Scream, Scream 2 and Scary Movie, you can see that she is blonde, very busty, attractive and sexually active. A Scream Queen is a character that is basically killed by the killer. So in the film openings of slasher films, you usually see a Scream Queen die at the start. And throughout the course of the film, more and more Scream Queens die, are killed by the killer. The third convention I will be discussing is the character of the final girl. In the films Halloween, Scream, Bride of Chucky and Cherry Falls, there is a final girl character who's the main protagonist. Carol Clover argues that the final girl is the hero of the film, of the slasher film usually, and she is resourceful, tough, brunette usually, virtuous and intelligent. Another common convention that you will see is that adult authority figures are usually useless in slasher films. So in the film Scream and Cherry Falls, the final girl's father is actually a police figure, and the police seem to never get ahead or never seem to catch the killer. So the killer usually seems to slip right through their fingers all the time. This next convention I'll be discussing is setting. So there are many different settings that you'll see typically in horror films, slasher horror films, which is a school. And for the examples of the Scream franchise and Cherry Falls, you see the characters in the school in the film opening. Second setting is usually a forest. Examples of settings in a forest are Friday the 13th, as you can see here. Also, the film Eden Lake is set in a forest, also by a lake. The setting commonly used is by a camp, or in a camp near a lake, or by a lake. Examples which have this setting are Friday the 13th, April Fool's Day, and the film Eden Lake. Another setting that you might see is the setting of a house. So in this example here, you can see the Scream Queen in the film Scream. She is at home making popcorn all alone. Another example that you can see the setting of a house is in the film Halloween. So here you can see the Scream Queen and her boyfriend in a house alone. So the killer is stalking them, watching them through the window, as you can see here. This next convention is one of the biggest conventions of the slasher genre, the anonymous masked killer. The biggest convention with the killer is that they appear to have unrealistic immortality, indestructibility, and super strength of this character. This is done so the killer can always come back in numerous sequels and rain terror once more. One of the most common conventions in the slasher horror genre is the point of view from the killer's shots. This was first achieved by John Carpenter in the film Halloween. The killer is masked to conceal the killer's identity until the final scene. If unmasked, their identity is again kept secret and only revealed in the final scene. The killer is often large and overtly asexual and sexually ambiguous, even though it's always implied that the killer is male with extreme bursts of masculinity. But however, in the examples Bride of Chucky and Jennifer's Body, the killer is actually female. The seventh convention I will be discussing is weapons. In many slasher films, you definitely see weapons used. So, for example, in Halloween, Michael Myers uses a knife to kill his victims. And in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the killer, Leatherface, kills his victims with a chainsaw. This next convention is another very big convention of the slasher genre, scary, non-diegetic sound. So in the examples Halloween, Psycho, and Friday the 13th, you can hear very scary, non-diegetic music. For the example Halloween, you can denote there to be piano notes playing, and also electronic synths and a variety of long held notes and short held notes. This mimics a heartbeat and also mimics the audience to hold their breath. In this next example, Friday the 13th remake, you can hear very scary non-diegetic music which also mimics a heartbeat sound, and some notes are short held and some notes are long held. You can denote that the short held notes sound like big thumping sounds, and also you can denote that the long held notes are strings. And there is also use of dark drones, which are electronic synths. The next convention that is very common is to see POV shots from the killer's perspective. So in the example Halloween, you see the killer watching the Scream Queen and her boyfriend be alone in the house just after they have had sex. He watches these two just before he kills the Scream Queen. The last convention that I will be discussing is low-key lighting / colour-tinted lighting in slasher films. In the example Bride of Chucky, you can see here colour-tinted lighting. The lighting is blue. This connotes the horror genre and connotes that this is a scary film. And also it creates an uneasy, cold atmosphere. The next example that has low-key lighting is Friday the 13th remake. As you can see here, there is black and white lighting, somewhat sepia, and it's also very low-key to connote the slasher horror genre. It also creates an uneasy, scary atmosphere for the audience. Black and white colouring effect tells the audience that the setting is back in time, and also the low-key lighting can tell the audience that the setting is set at night.